Chapter 13. The fourth planet belonged to a businessman. This man was so much occupied that he did not even raise his head at the little prince's arrival. "Good morning," the little prince said to him. "Your cigarette has gone out." 3 and 2 make 5, 5 and 7 make 12, 12 and 3 make 15. Good morning, 15 and 7 make 22, 22 and 6 make 28. I haven't time to light it again. 26 and 5 make 31. Whew. Then that makes 501,622,731. 500 million what? Asked the little prince. Are you still there? 501 million. I can't stop. I have so much to do. I am concerned with important work. I don't amuse myself with nonsense. 2 and 5 make 7. 501 million what? Repeated the little prince, who never let go of a question once he had asked it. The businessman raised his head. During the 54 years that I have lived on this planet, I have been disturbed only 3 times. The first time was 22 years ago when some dizzy goose fell from God knows where. He made an awful noise that echoed all over the place, and I made 4 mistakes in my addition. The second time, 11 years ago, I was disturbed by an attack of joint pain. I don't get enough exercise. I have no time to laze around. The third time, well, this is it. Then I was saying 501 millions. Millions of what? The businessman suddenly realized that there was no chance of peace until he answered this question. Millions of those little objects, he said, which one sometimes sees in the sky. Flies? Oh no, little shining objects. Bees? Oh no, little golden objects that set lazy men to unrealistic dreaming. As for me, I am concerned with important work. There is no time for unrealistic dreaming in my life. Ah, you mean the stars? Yes, that's it, the stars. And what do you do with 500 millions of stars? 501,622,731. I am concerned with important work. I am an exact person. And what do you do with these stars? What do I do with them? Yes. Nothing. I own them. You own the stars? Yes. But I have already seen a king who... Kings do not own. They rule over. It is a very different matter. And what good does it do you to own the stars? It does me the good of making you rich. And what good does it do you to be rich? It makes it possible for me to buy more stars, if any are discovered. This man, the little prince said to himself, reasons a little like my poor alcoholic. Nevertheless, he still had some more questions. How is it possible for one to own the stars? To whom do they belong? The businessman replied, angrily. I don't know. To nobody. Then they belong to me because I was the first person to think of it. Is that all that is necessary? Certainly. When you find a diamond that belongs to nobody, it is yours. When you discover an island that belongs to nobody, it is yours. When you get an idea before anyone else, you make out a copyright on it. It is yours. Just like that. I own the stars because nobody else before me ever thought of owning them. Yes, that is true, said the little prince. And what do you do with them? I administer them, replied the businessman. I count them and I recount them. It is difficult, but I am a man who is naturally interested in important work. The little prince was still not satisfied. If I owned a silk scarf, he said, I could put it around my neck and take it away with me. If I owned a flower, I could pick that flower and take it away with me. But you cannot pick the stars from heaven. No, but I can put them in the bank. Whatever does that mean? That means that I write the number of my stars on a little paper, and then I put this paper in a drawer and lock it with a key. And that is all? That is enough, said the businessman. It is entertaining, thought the little prince. It is rather poetic, but it is of no great importance. On matters of importance, the little prince had ideas which were very different from those of grown-ups. I myself own a flower, he continued his conversation with the businessman, which I water every day. I own 3 volcanoes, which I clean out every week. It is useful to my volcanoes, and it is useful to my flower that I own them. But you are of no use to the stars. The businessman opened his mouth, but he found nothing to say in answer, and the little prince went away. The grown-ups here are certainly altogether very unusual, he said simply, talking to himself as he continued on his journey. Chapter 14. The 5th planet was very strange. It was the smallest of all. There was just enough room on it for a street lamp and a lamplighter. The little prince can't understand the reason for the use of a street lamp and a lamplighter on a planet which had no people and not one house. But he said to himself, it may be that this man is unreasonable, but he is not so unreasonable as the king, the proud man, the businessman, and the alcoholic, for at least his work has some meaning. And when he lights his street lamp, it looks like he brought one more star to life, or one flower. When he puts out his lamp, he sends the flower or the star to sleep. That is a beautiful job, and since it is beautiful, it is truly useful. When he arrived on the planet, he respectfully greeted the lamplighter. Good morning. Why have you just put out your lamp? Those are the orders, replied the lamplighter. Good morning. What are the orders? The orders are that I put out my lamp. Good evening. And then he lighted his lamp again. But why have you just lighted it again? Those are the orders, replied the lamplighter. I do not understand, said the little prince. There is nothing to understand, said the lamplighter. Orders are orders. Good morning. And he put out his lamp. Then he wiped his forehead with a handkerchief with red squares. I follow a terrible work. In the old days it was reasonable. I put the lamp out in the morning, and in the evening I lighted it again. I had the rest of the day for leisure and the rest of the night for sleep. And the orders have been changed since that time? The orders have not been changed, said the lamplighter. That is the disaster. From year to year, the planet has turned more rapidly, and the others have not been changed. Then what? Asked the little prince. Then the planet now makes a complete turn every minute, and I no longer have one single second for rest. Once every minute, I have to light my lamp and put it out. That is very funny. A day lasts only 1 minute. This planet. It is not funny at all, said the lamplighter. While we have been talking together, a month has gone by. A month? Yes, a month. 30 minutes, 30 days. Good evening. And he lighted his lamp again. As the little prince watched him, he felt that he loved this lamplighter who was so faithful to his orders. He remembered when he moved his chair back to see the sunsets, and he wanted to help his friend. You know, he said, I can tell you a way you can rest whenever you want to. I always want to rest, said the lamplighter. For it is possible for a man to be faithful and lazy at the same time. The little prince went on with his explanation. Your planet is so small that 3 steps will take you all the way around it. When you want rest, you will walk slowly, and the day will last as long as you like. That doesn't do me much good, said the lamplighter. The one thing I love is to sleep. Then you're lucky, said the little prince. I am unlucky, said the lamplighter. Good morning. And he put out his lamp. The little prince said to himself as he continued on his journey, that man would be hated by all the others, by the king, by the proud man, by the alcoholic, by the businessman. Nevertheless, he is the only one of them who does not look ridiculous. Perhaps that is because he is thinking of something except himself. He breathed a sigh of regret and said to himself again, that man is the only one of them who I could have made my friend. But his planet is really too small. There is no room on it for two people. What the little prince hid in his heart was that he was sorry most of all to leave this planet because it was blessed every day with 1,440 sunsets. Chapter 15. The sixth planet was 10 times larger than the last one. It was lived by an old gentleman who wrote large books. Oh, look! Here is an explorer! He shouted to himself when he saw the little prince coming. The little prince sat down on the table and breathed quickly. He had already traveled so much and so far. Where do you come from? The old gentleman said to him. What is that big book? Said the little prince. What are you doing? I am a geographer, said the old gentleman. What is a geographer? Asked the little prince. A geographer is a scholar who knows the location of all the seas, rivers, towns, mountains, and deserts. That is very interesting, said the little prince. At last, here is a man who has a real job. And he looked around him at the planet of the geographer. It was the most amazing and grand planet that he had ever seen. Your planet is very beautiful, he said. Has it any oceans? I couldn't tell you, said the geographer. Ah, the little prince was disappointed. Has it any mountains? Said the geographer. And towns and rivers and deserts? I couldn't tell you that either. But you are a geographer. Exactly, the geographer said. But I am not an explorer. I haven't a single explorer on my planet. It is not the geographer who goes out to count the towns, the rivers, the mountains, the seas, the oceans, and the deserts. The geographer is much too important to waste time. He does not leave his desk. The scientist went on. So he receives the explorers in his study. He asks them questions and he notes down the memories of their travels. And if the memories of explorers seem interesting to him, the geographer orders a question into that explorer's moral character. Why is that? Because an explorer who told lies would bring disaster on the books of the geographer. So would an explorer who drank too much. Why is that? Asked the little prince. Because drunken men see double. Then the geographer would note 2 mountains when there was only 1. I know someone, said the little prince, who would make a bad explorer. That is possible. Then, when the moral character of the explorer is shown to be good, a search is ordered about the discovery. One goes to see it? Oh, that would be too complicated, but one requires the explorer to supply data. For example, if the discovery in question is that of a large mountain, one requires that large stones be brought back from it. The geographer was suddenly moved to joy. But you come from far away. You are an explorer. You shall describe your planet to me. And, having opened his big book, the geographer sharpened his pencil. The reports of explorers are put down first in pencil. One waits until the explorer has supplied data before putting them down in ink. Well, said the geographer hopefully. Oh, where I live, said the little prince. It is not very interesting. It is so small. I have 3 volcanoes. 2 volcanoes are active and the other is dead. But one never knows. One never knows, said the geographer. I also have a flower. We do not record flowers, said the geographer. Why is that? The flower is the most beautiful thing on my planet. We do not record them, said the geographer, because they are short-lived. What does that mean, short-lived? Geography books are most concerned with matters of importance, said the scientist. They never become old-fashioned. It is very rarely that a mountain changes its position. It is very rarely that an ocean empties of its waters. We write of unchanging things. But dead volcanoes may come to life again, the little prince interrupted. What does that mean? Short-lived. Whether volcanoes are dead or alive, it comes to the same thing for us, said the geographer. The thing that matters to us is the mountain. It does not change. But what does it mean? Short-lived, repeated the little prince, who never in his life had to let go of a question. It means which is in danger of speedy disappearance. Is my flower in danger of speedy disappearance? Certainly, it is. My flower is short-lived, the little prince said to himself, and she has only 4 thorns to defend herself against the world, and I have left her on my planet all alone. That was his first moment of regret. But he took courage once more. What place would you advise me to visit now? He asked. The planet Earth, replied the geographer. It is well known. And the little prince went away, thinking of his flower.